like Anubis, with pristine, so back mindset, like a machine. In the game, we're clean, we're so keen. Powers in the sky, chasing that dream. That dream, obelisk tide, we rock the scene. Capturing rhymes while taking what's unseen. On the arc, we're kings, we're supreme. Never seen the limits in a way we ever breathe. Time cross, very interesting. We will go clean the crown. We'll tear it down. There's nothing they can never tell and take down our crown. And we will pop them down and make the drum sound. There's something inside more blessings sneaking around. Now watch the ice still. We're fighting down. Run and charge and calculate the power we bring. Cut it like a band, they're here to battle sing. We're blazing through the ranks on the move and swing. With might in our heart to take everything. Everything pillars rise as we claim our throne. For victory, we've already grown. On the field we fight, we overthrow the norm. Nothing stop us, ain't no way we stay alone. Time cross, very interesting. We will go clean the crown. We'll tear it down. There's nothing they can never do to take down our crown. And we will pop them down and make the drum sound. There's something inside more blessings sneaking around. Now watch the ice still. We're fighting death. From the desert altar to the desert outpost, we're craving more. With every sweet stride, we will arrive. We're opening the door. So here's to the grind. We'll tear it down. There's nothing they can never do to take down our crown. And we will pop them down and make the drum sound. There's something inside more blessings sneaking around. Now watch the ice still. We're fighting death. Yeah, we're fighting death. We're fighting death. We're fighting death. In the dark, creatures crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, an abyss protects you. In the light, goddess of the sun brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man. Become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing the mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, build the drugs. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so expound. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing the mark. Get like mystical formation.
What is going on, Governors? Chiscool here, and today I'm joined by Brian Koo to cast Arc of Osiris League Season 10. BK, welcome to the booth. How you doing today? Aha, hold on. I muted myself to our conversation. There you go. Now I can hear you and you can hear me. Hey there, buddy. Little hiccup right at the start. How's it going?
Jeez.
I just did the grand intro, but you couldn't hear it.
You know, at least I was, hopefully I was smiling and enjoying what you were saying, and let's just pretend I could hear you.
Yeah, I only said nice things. Chat, you trust me.
Sure.
I only said nice things. All right, well, we're here to cast Ark of Osiris League Season 10. I almost can't believe we're in Season 10. We're watching ULT, that's 1875's Ultra Instinct, slugging it out versus Wu, that's Wu-Tang 28 from 2728. Before we go off the deep end on this particular match, since this is my first time casting this season, it's worth mentioning a lot has changed since the last time we casted. Most noticeably, we've now got Anubis Guardians. What do people need to know about these Guardians and how this has like really changed the game?
You know what? The main thing to know is that this is another good change to the Ark of Osiris. They've always been careful with the changes that they make, and they've just succeeded again with the Altars of Anubis on the far outskirts of the map. It just makes the map a little bit more dynamic, stretches things out, and makes, you know, traditional strategies like max holding the Ark a little bit less effective and a little bit less likely to occur, right? Because what these Altars of Anubis do is they give you progressively better buffs each time you kill it. And the most important buff is a points boost. And so when you have the points boost from the monster active, then you want to return the Ark during that window. And so teams are incentivized to return the Ark sooner, not max hold it. That just opens up so many things, Chiz, about an hour-long Ark of Osiris match. You get more mids, and you get marches in more places on the map, needing to do more stuff. That just makes teamwork more important, decision-making more important, and it gives us more to talk about.
Awesome. I'm really excited to see it play out. To recap, you've got two bosses that are spawning on different parts of the map. Each time you're taking them out, you are getting a progressively better buff, which includes a point bonus. So that does make sense that like you get the point bonus and it is a 4-minute window and you want to cap the Ark during that window of time. Okay, cool. Very powerful. And as I was brushing up on the rules, we were talking about this beforehand. If you take out both of the Anubises that spawned, it actually, I think, stacks the buff. So you go from a 15% point boost to a 25% point boost, which like seems pretty good. And it's not just points you get from capping the Ark. It's all points earned while that buff is active. Big deal. So that's one of the big changes. We've also got new commanders to check out. So I'm hyped about that to see maybe some Versi on the field, maybe some Help Arslan. Yeah, maybe. Spoiler alert, maybe. Maybe not. The thing that's cool about that is that these teams are really incentivized to pick the commanders that actually win. Not to get a better report, but like they actually just want to win. So let's talk about these teams now. Talk to me about Ultra Instinct. Talk to me about Wu-Tang 28. What do we know about them, and what do we know like about their history in Osiris League in particular?
Yeah, interesting matchup that we have here, Chiz. 1875, a long storied Imperium Kingdom. They have 3.1 trillion kill points. They finished in the top 8 of Osiris League last season and are just wrapping up a KVK now. They're holding the Ziggurat in their KVK as we speak. Their opponents, 2728, a slightly younger kingdom, slightly less KP, only 2.4 trillion kill points from Kingdom 2728. They also made the top 8 last season, and they are not in KVK right now. So what I see here is I see two teams that are maybe not the most known kingdoms in the game, but they are one tier down from that. You know, they might not be top 5 kingdoms, but we can very likely put them in the top 10. And they've had Ark of Osiris League success in the past, And they're in a position now where one of these teams is not only going to advance in this match, but either team, if they win, is going to be the favorite next week. So they are both very well situated to potentially have their best finish in Osiris League ever. But they have to beat each other in this match right here. Chiz, I liken it to a college football matchup where it's two teams who do not traditionally play one another, but then they get matched up in the college football playoffs, and it really is win or go home type of situation. And it's like a really big deal for both of these kingdoms' reputations.
Huge. Well, we get to find out what happens next because the match is starting. So let's jump in now and we'll get a peek.
Let's do it.
All right, we've just loaded into the match. We've got in blue, ULT, that's 1875. And in red, Woo in the bottom right. Now, we see the altars of Anubis in the far sides of the map. For those just seeing this either for the first time because you haven't been playing Ark, or this is your first time tuning in to an official stream, the timer here is already ticking. 18 minutes before the first spawn. Over the course of the match, there'll be 3 spawns at each of these, right?
Yes, yes. The timing is, because it's 20 minutes, it's going to be like max. You can only get 3 during the course of a match. Now, theoretically, you could only have 2, right? It could take so long to kill one of them, or both teams ignore it, that you could potentially only have 2 of these things die. But I think that rarely happens because ultimately it only takes, I would say, 5 or so marches to take this thing down. The real enemy here, besides the Anubis's AoE and decent tankiness, the real enemy are your opponents who also want to kill it, and so you have to fight them off just to get a shot at the actual monster.
And the Anubis itself, to get those bonuses, you just need the last hit. So
that's it.
Even if you technically don't do the majority of the damage, you sneak in for last hit and it's GG. You got it.
Yep, that's it. You get the buff just like that, and you're denying the enemy, right? Like the 25% bonus to points is quite good, but we almost have to say it's like a bigger bonus, right, Chiz? Because like you're also denying 15% bonus to your opponent.
Yeah, one or the other is gonna get it, and now the match begins. Here we go. You're right that just like an Ark, in that way, it is a point swing in one team's favor or the other. Now, so far in the openings you've seen, given the presence of the altar of Anubis, has the opening changed much? I mean, the skills are also different. By the way, ult now popping energetic. Nice and early here. We've seen that for multiple seasons in a row now. And for those who want a quick reminder on the exact skill text, I can pull that up. Energetic. While this skill is active, your team gains 150% more energy points whenever it gains energy points, or 50% more energy points if originating from another Ark of Osiris skill. Lasts for 300 seconds.
Yes,
okay.
And we now have WU also casting energetic, and I think it's interesting, Chiz, that both of these teams use this skill because it has fallen out of favor a little bit with the top teams opting for stocking up instead. The teams that are really, really organized will use stocking up instead of energetic. And, maybe every team in the Osiris League uses energetic or stocking up. But personally, in my experience with Ark, we don't even run either one because energetic, it gets used at the beginning of the match, and then it's kind of hard to use it later on because you're using points for so many other things. I will be curious to see how often these teams use energetic in this match, because I would say both of these teams are pretty traditional as far as their skill bars go. Only thing I'll note is that when WU was an underdog against 93T, they swapped out To the Death for Inferno, which is more of a high risk, high reward type of skill. And as a slight underdog in this match, it will be interesting to see if WU bust that Inferno out again, or if they just play it straight up.
A little bit funky what's going on here. A swarm on the obelisk. Reinforcements arrive in the form of a rally. Captain's in. Hera now chilling to defend the obelisk. So there could have been something sneaky.
The double swarm. You don't see the double swarm and 2 double Cs getting there so fast. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like a sanity check, right? Like, if Wu-Tang had not actually sent that rally to bring the garrison and to bring troops, it could have been a problem if like just the T1 defenders were all that was in there. But as it turns out, they were on top of it. The sanity check is passed. And we go on to the next sort of phase here, where it's the battles for the altars. So we see both teams kind of getting in position, very much mirroring each other. And momentarily here, we're going to take the more zoomed in view, but it's interesting to see where all the troops are moving across the entire map right now. Some kind of positioning here, and this is more double Cs all over the place. The early game commander that continues to hold tremendous value in the late game, I suppose, right? Double C kind of hanging out, potentially to do something at this altar or reinforce. Oh, here comes an Attila rally. Presumably Attila Subutai moving downfield.
Yeah, they can potentially take another shot at this red team obelisk if they let the Attila Subutai rally go. They can always cancel it as well and have those marches fight at the desert altar. Looks like they're going to let it go, and there are some swarmers there. It's kind of a push, Chiz. You know, this game mode is so much about where you allocate your marches, right? And so, like, if we just do a basic counting here, you've got about 5 marches in the rally. You've got about 4 marches here to swarm it. So that's like a push, right? As far as where marches aren't going to be at these fights. So I don't know, that rally is going to be fine. What I think is interesting here is like how much focus is on the inside lanes here. You usually see teams going for the outside lanes more, but these 2 teams are going to fight it out really hard on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, we do see a garrison captain here caught out, the Hera. And it is funny, like, Hera is not a new commander, and yet here we are in Ark of Osiris, still using Hera many years later. You think that's just purely because of the universal nature of Hera's skills and the shielding that Hera provides? Maybe the anti-swarm as well?
Well, I think that Hera has gotten new life with the release of the Hayam Wuruk garrison, archer garrison, because Hera is like his ideal pair. And then what I also saw in the match earlier today was a Hera primary CY secondary, which I guess would be a good pair with CY as far as the anti-swarm. So I just think these archer garrisons of late have given Hera a bit more life. It does feel like YSS has finally been retired, though.
It's about time. As much as I like those really anchors flying through the air, his day has come and gone for the meta in Rise of Kingdoms. Desert Altar getting swarmed here. Wu is able to snag that. That is on their side. Otherwise, the map now is pretty even, is it not? A little bit of action downfield here with some marches that might try to snipe an outpost. Looks like they won't be successful. And I see a Skippy Prime. I wasn't expecting to see that, but Skippy Prime with Liu Chess still getting play years later in Ark of Osiris League.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That's something that I found interesting too, Chiz. And I mean, we can start getting into this, buddy, because I am really curious what you think about like that choice right there. Like people with 2 infantry marches, which most people run 2 infantry marches, they're oftentimes choosing Scipio Luce instead of something like BQ Philip. I mean, because you can put the LC behind the Sun Tzu, that's fine. And then your second infantry march can be something like BQ Philip, giving you those support buffs. But people aren't doing that. They're running the Scipio LC instead. I mean, it's very interesting.
I actually do have a theory there that might be helpful as we kind of look around the map for where the tussles are. We're at this point waiting for major things to spawn. We're waiting for the arc where we have 5 minutes. The teams aren't probably quite yet going to rotate to middle unless they're in the outside lane, but there's a little action going on there. So people aren't going in the middle yet. But, you know, my theory for why it is that those commanders would not be quite as powerful is that although they are very, very good, the weirdness of those commanders is that they are buffing other marches, so you need to have other marches to buff. And these are all much smaller skirmishes where the total number of marches diminishes pretty quickly. So I sort of wonder if a part of the reason it doesn't do quite as well here is that in a skirmish that's like, let's say, 10 marches versus 10 marches, that very quickly sort of dwindles down to a very small number of marches on each side. Maybe that's a part of the reason why that's the case. You just have less stuff to buff, and then it's just not quite as effective. I don't know. I'm open to what the chat says here around why they think we're not seeing much of Versi or Philip. Big swarm in on the Desert Altar. I missed the front end of that, but the back end of that looked pretty potent. There is the capture, and I can see the battle report here against the David Garrison. Now, the David Garrison is what I kind of would have expected to see a fair amount of. I'm sure you saw that earlier today as well.
Yeah, David is fantastic, and that was a pretty crazy flip there at the last second by WU, because you can see that Blue did not get the first capture on that building. So the first capture is still live on that topside Desert Altar, and that is going to disrupt Blue getting, it's going to disrupt Blue getting to mid a little bit, because they absolutely have to prioritize that Desert Altar over the next 3 minutes, but Arc is spawning in 3.5 minutes. So as much as this has been a relatively standard opening where neither team has really asserted too much dominance over the other, that flip of the Desert Altar by WU is definitely the biggest play of this match so far, and they do have a lot of marches there as well, Chiz. So, well, I mean, they're getting melted down pretty fast. It looks like, Blue's going to be able to get this building back, but it's a good disruptive play by Red.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they're able to hold it for another minute 40. I agree with you that that's going to be pretty tough to do with the Gorgo captain already at play here. But you can see it reflected in the scoreboard with the 1,000 points of difference there, that the first capture of this structure has not yet happened, and with only a minute left to do it, there's the rally that needs to take this thing back. So still plenty of time. It might come down to the wire, but when this rally lands, they'll still have about 55 seconds or so to get the job done. So let's see how that plays out here. Now, also, marches are making their way to the middle, so if I need to go swing on over to the middle and get a peek, definitely let me know. I'll keep the camera over here at the Desert Altar for now. We'll zoom in on this action just a little bit here. And the rally connects. Attila Subotai, the rally. Also, look at that.
Not a full rally, only 1 million in the rally. So if they did get this Gorgo Hector Garrison full, they might be able to hold this thing. And they're just gathering up mid still. They're giving us time to watch this fight. Nice guys.
Okay. Interesting to see the Joan Arthur here in Arc. Yeah. 2026, folks, and that's not a criticism, it's a observation that the Wedge 2 armaments are really powerful in Arc.
Yeah, I think this is like an incredibly big endorsement of Wedge 2, is the fact that we are seeing a lot of Huo and a lot of Joan in Osiris League this year. As we see 1875 now, they are taking the temple. WU had a very interesting split on both sides of this structure. I think they're going serious mid. I would think that Red Team is being serious about mid, but like the way they've structured this is pretty crazy.
The positioning is definitely weird. Ult using Desert Storm. We saw Inferno deployed by Wu-Tang.
Yes, there's the Inferno. Wow. I'm trying to find the who's ignited. I think it's got to be in this group on the left here. It's in the pile.
Yeah, I saw it in the pile. But
so they did go for the home run play here from WU, but not working very well. That march that was ignited was nuked down very fast, where probably it was nuked down before it could even start the fire. So a big risky play from Red there, and Blue read it very well, and it wasn't that hard to reach, because I mean, half their marches were on the right side, half their marches were on the left side. Obviously, they're planning something.
Yeah, that's definitely very awkward if they really didn't get the benefit of the ability at all. So let's read this real quick as we spectate the troops kind of moving around the map here and readjusting to new positions. Inferno. Select an allied troop. It immediately loses the hidden status, and after 30 seconds, the area around it bursts into flames. It lasts for 18 seconds, and the troop cannot gain hidden status during this time. Every 3 seconds, 50% of the troops caught in the flames, regardless of team, lose 20% of their max units and lose the hidden status. So that really was like a Hail Mary of a play, and it was completely diffused by ult here. If it had worked, would have been very clever. It did not work, and it feels like it was a pretty savage use of 6 points.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? Is they used so many points there mid. They used Inferno and Dust Up, so they used a total of 8.
Oof.
Alt for their part did use 5, but you know, it was just a clean arc win for Alt. And their marches are completely fresh. And so now the question, if your blue team, is like, what do you do with all those marches who won the mid fight? On the top side, they're rotating defensively and dealing with a very big push by WU. So this rotation by blue is super productive. They might not hold their structure here, Chiz, but like these marches went to the exact right place, 100%. And on the bottom side, they're going to try and take the WU Desert Altar. That has a chance to work. So, yeah, just a very clean arc performance there for the blue team.
Yeah. Dust Up, for those wondering, decreases the visual range of all enemy troops and occupied buildings by 50%, and their damage by 10% for 3 minutes. I think for the most part, it's the damage debuff that's what's important, but vision is not nothing.
Definitely not. Especially in a mid fight like that where the vision, I think blue had vision, but I'm not sure if red team had too much vision of that mid fight. So when you then reduce their vision individually as well, it actually does help quite a bit.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to hide the Inferno, right? I was going to say Phoenix, but that's the icon.
It was the other team that did. Oh, they both did Dust Up.
They both did, right. Yeah.
Yep. They were trying to hide the Inferno inside their own ball, and they also lured in like a ton of enemy marches. So if the player had ignited, it would have it was like a risky play by Alt to try to kill it. It's always risky to try to kill that Inferno rather than run away from it, but it's not that hard. You just got to nuke down one march, and you know, it usually works. If you can find that Inferno march fast enough, which they did, you can usually nuke it down quite quickly.
Now, how long do we have till the Anubis is spawned? 1 minute and 45 seconds. Nobody even starting to march to either Anubis? No,
well,
that's not right. Top side, we see some movement.
They're getting there now. So one thing to note with the Anubis is that both teams have one altar that is closer to their side. So the top side is closer to this top side altar. And so that's sort of like their altar. And then the bottom side has this bottom Anubis, and that's sort of their altar. And so blue is just going to that building or going to that monster early. And they need one of these, Chiz, because they hold the arc and they want to get that points bonus for sure. Now, what WU is doing at the moment is they're not really looking to disrupt this altar. They're more so just looking to disrupt the building game. They continue to hold this desert altar or at the top side, and then at the bottom side, they do need to get their own desert altar back here with the Attila David inside that garrison.
Attila David, strong anti-swarm, but anytime you throw Attila in, you need to have mono troop, which is definitely challenging in Ark of Osiris. Captain gets knocked out, as well as the defenders. Shrine of War, currently flipping red. Gorgo captain here. It's interesting to see Gorgo captaining. Oh, and we do see Ult going for the double Anubis capture. Moving into position now, Anubis spawns in. There's the Herald. We see the bonus here on screen. Uh-oh. They've initiated the fight. The Herald of Anubis begins now. We're going to watch that happen.
You know, I think they're more nervous about this situation than we are because they're doing it with not too many marches here. So, like, if WU were to come and disrupt this, it would be a real problem. But we know from zooming out that actually no red marches are headed this way. And the blue team has a pretty good idea, too, because they have committed 2 sentries to stealing this Herald of Anubis. And from those sentries, they can see nobody's coming. Nobody is coming to this monster. And so they are, you know, Alt is going to grab both of these monsters right here, Chiz.
It's a big deal. No Mark also activated, so they're going for some major points. I mean, why not if you've got them both, right?
Well, listen, I mean, there's a reason that WU isn't here, right? They're making a choice. Like, choices are being made here by both teams. Blue is choosing to take both Anubises. Red's choosing to take the buildings. Like, they've taken 2 of Blue's buildings at the moment. They have an altar and a Shrine of War. The Shrine of War has been captured for so long that it's almost collecting points. The altar is already collecting points. So for all of these buffs, Chiz, for all of these buffs that Alt is working on, the points per minute is actually dead even prior to this Anubis getting captured.
By the way, there was both a Philip and a Versi at that capture that just happened on screen.
Well, there you go. No wonder they took it down, buddy.
So now they've got the buffs. They've got both of them. So they do stack to an extent. So it becomes a grand total of 25% extra points gained for Alt, which, to your point, they're going to need because now it is 3 altars to 1, and that is not in their favor.
No, you know, WU has done a really good job on the sides in this match. They actually do have more kill points than Alt at this point, which means they're just finding better engages on the side. And so we still got we definitely have a game on our hands here where Blue is controlling the outside of the map and the inside, but everything else is being run by WU here. And Alt has really not taken many red buildings at all. It'll be very interesting to see if they can take this Shrine of Life. There's no rally headed to the Shrine of Life, which is, I think, a misplay by Alt, because they can only swarm this Gorgo down. And there's plenty of defense here to stop them from doing it. And all these marches are very low too. Chiz, I don't think they're going to get this Shrine of Life.
Yeah, I don't know that they were trying to get this Shrine of Life per se. I feel like this is like more like they're taking advantage of the fact that they still had marches left over from the Anubis, maybe. And the most productive place to send them was the Shrine of Life. And if they get it, then hooray. And if they don't, well, they had to walk somewhere anyways. May as well walk to the opposing side of the map and keep them occupied.
Yeah, it was better to send them to the Shrine of Life than send it back to their Sky Altar, because at the moment there is no attack on their Sky Altar. Alt has regained control of all of their buildings. They've stabilized the map, and they are still holding the Ark. You know, they're going to have to return this Ark in the next couple of minutes for this buff to be of value. But they have at least stabilized the map at this point. But yeah, it remains to be seen whether Alt can really take WU's buildings. They haven't been able to do it much so far.
Well, they're definitely setting up for it.
Sky Altar coming.
Yeah. They're setting up for it all right. Actually, they just changed direction. A bunch of marches redirected. They were on their way to Sky Altar. Now they're on their way to Shrine of War. So big offensive coming in from Wu-Tang. Moving in on Ultra Instinct's Sky Altar. Rally in tow. Scipio Emilianus with Ivar the Boneless. Pretty hyped to see the infantry rally from an inf main, speaking for myself there. It's funny, like, in a lot of circumstances, I feel like inf were avoided in the past because they're just slow and march speed is so important. But these days we see Gorgo in the garrison, we see infantry rallies, really like all troop types represented, except I don't know that we've seen a pure archer garrison, or at least I haven't noticed it. Have you?
I think we see the archer garrisons when the archer rally succeeds. And we do see plenty of archer rallies in Osiris League. So I think you're right. Every troop type is getting their fair share of the action. Listen, this Scipio Ivar rally is holding up very well. It's known for its sustain. And in this fight in particular, my gosh, I mean, they are either filling the crap out of this thing or it's just not being swarmed that much, because the Scipio rally is staying alive for a really long time here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is looking like a good defense coming from Ultra Instinct. The building's getting very low, but they've been able to dwindle down the attackers from Wu-Tang, and they're able to hold the building. They're going to need to refresh the troops that are in there, but they have bought themselves more time. Now, I say they've bought themselves more time in a way, because when we look at this board, Wu-Tang is now down. Like, they were up on points and had a bunch of buildings, and we go spectate a bunch of stuff, and we come back, and it's like, wait a minute, the lead is flipped, which has got to be that 25% point boost that went to Ultra Instinct.
It's the 25% point boost plus the arc being returned. Actually, Chiz, I got to tell you, I think they returned that arc too late. I don't think they got the points boost. Like, look at the score. Look at the Arc of Osiris score. When you zoom in on each category of scoring, they only got 3,000 points for that arc. So that tells me that they returned it too late and did not get a points boost for it.
Oh my gosh.
You would see it reflected there. You would see the extra points reflected in that Arc of Osiris score. So there was so much happening that, that fight at the Sky Altar was so intense. It was like a very close fight at that building that I think they returned the arc too late, or they just chose to return it later because they didn't like the timing of when they returned it. But that's a big loss. We're talking about 750 points they could have had. Yeah, is that right? Yep. Yeah.
So with these arc teams, they're so good. I tend to assume that I don't know what they're up to, but what they're doing is very intentional. So I think your suggestion that they were waiting for a specific timing is very likely to be true. Hearkening to the Gandalf quote, right? It's like a wizard arrives precisely when they intend. Maybe they missed the window.
Yeah, I think they should have been more wizardly on that one. I mean, 750 points is nothing to sneeze at.
It's a lot, but man, I would just assume they're setting up for something in a way that benefits them, that they think is more important. But the allure of just the easy, guaranteed 750 points, that's pretty major. So if they were delaying, it has to be a very strategic choice. What might that strategic choice be? It could be just like that they've really timed down to the minute the sort of recovery of their, ability points to deploy towards skills. And if that's true, like, sometimes, those seconds matter in a mid-fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And, both teams cast... Actually, it's only Alt that has cast Energetic for a second time. So that's certainly interesting that Wu-Tang feels so restricted on their skill points that they are not using Energetic a second time as of now. And, maybe Alt saved the arc for skill point usage, but I wouldn't say that you did it for a timing reason, because really they're not doing anything with this timing, right? They're sitting back on defense. They're taking the hit from WU, and they'll get to mid in a fine time here, but it's not like they really did anything with like that specific window of the arc return. And at the moment, it's a balanced map. Both teams have all of their own structures.
Yeah, 4:30 till the arc spawns. There's still plenty of time. Some marches starting to assemble, so they're definitely thinking about it. And given the scoreboard, it makes sense that Wu-Tang might feel a strong need to really take this arc, They are going in on the Shrine of War, hoping, I would assume, to get some extra buffs for the mid-fight. David's the Garrison. That flips. Still a ton of Ultra Instinct marches here, though. So presumably they'll start to counter-swarm this. There it is. QSH in the Garrison, promising a lot of AoE damage against the Swarmers here. Flips to Gorgo. So now we've got...
It's all inf. Inf in there.
It's all inf in there?
Well, it was an infantry rally, so it's going to be almost... Yeah, it's going to almost always be inf that's in there.
All right. Nearly full inf. Ooh, I see a Versi profile on screen. You love to see it. I think that was an Achilles Versi, which has me a little intrigued.
Did you even test that one? Did you even test the Achilles Versi?
And it was not that bad. It was actually surprising. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But we figured most people realistically, you know, for KVK situations are putting Achilles and GG together or using Arthur and Achilles together.
Yes, yes.
But
and I think
Arc is totally different. Like, you know, you need what you need and you do what works best and you do what wins above all other things.
Yeah, I think the difference with Arc is that you don't really need the GG, right? You know, single, I mean, he's fine, but like the single target and the healing is not like that amazing when you can run like Joan with Arthur with Wedge 2 and do more damage. So, you know, you can put someone else with Achilles in that case. I think in KVK, I think what's tough with an Achilles Versi is like, who do you then put the GG with? Maybe he's fine with Arthur. I mean, maybe he's fine with Arthur. I don't know.
Let me ask this. Round 2 for the Arc. Why is Wu-Tang splitting again? I have deja vu here.
If they have Time Warp, then they can use Inferno again.
Oh, because that went so well the first time, right?
Yeah, it went so well the first time, so we're not going to trick them the second time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they would have to use they'd have to use Time Warp to reset this because the cooldown on Inferno is 30 minutes. And if you use Time Warp now, you've really neutered your ability to use No Mark a second time. You know, I wonder if it's like a fake mid for WU, but then I look at the map and I'm like, where are the rest of their marches? So I guess they have to be going mid. This looks like a tough situation. I'm going to be very curious to see what Red Team cooks up here.
They're up to something. I just don't know what. We're watching it now as they do the dance where one arm of this movement from Wu-Tang moves in, the other retreats, and now vice versa. The left side is retreating and the right side's moving back in. There's the Time Warp. Are they just... They're running it back. They're actually just running it back.
Okay, now where are they going to put it?
They put it on the left side, I believe. I believe we're looking at it here. So they are running that march.
They're running it away. So then when it ignites, it will burn a lot of its own marches.
This is interesting. So instead of going for it, Ultra Instinct is actually running away, which affords a bunch of free hits coming in from the cavalry marches from Wu. There's the flames. And unfortunately for Wu, it looks like it's the majority of the Wu marches eating this damage right now.
I think we call this self-immolation that is happening for Wu, but at least they got the Inferno off this time. But boy, their marches are just getting absolutely chunked down before this fight even begins.
Yeah, I would say from observing this ability so far, it requires a level of skill and risk to execute that, I mean, there's a low chance of a success, but if you are successful, an incredibly high upside. I guess they're just playing for that, right?
Yeah, they're playing for that. They probably feel like they don't have the account strength to deal with alt. I mean, Chiz, I'm looking at this and like the fight doesn't look that, it looks kind of close still, to be quite honest. The fight still looks relatively close. And Arc has spawned at this point. Both teams going for the Arc. It does look as if Blue could potentially get a good run. Nope, the Arc died. We're slightly in different time periods, but I mean, this was a closer fight at least. This was at least a closer fight.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's closer, but I wouldn't exactly call it close, right?
No.
And like, what all was used by ult? Dust Up, Desert Storm. So once again, 5 points deployed there, whereas Wu used 9. They used Desert Storm and they used Inferno. They're eating a deficit here and not really getting the kind of value you'd want to see. Like, again, it's just high risk, high reward, I suppose, but even like to the death might play out better or more consistently, to say the least. But they're taking their chance. I'm sure they know that it's risky and they're going for it, and it's just not working. So what do they do now? Because I feel like they're in a spot of trouble. We've got 50 seconds till these Anubises spawn in. Looks like they are actually battling over the topmost Anubis, which is really what I want to see. I really want to see Wu going for this. There's the activation. Oh boy. So I don't know how many marches it takes here, but they're going for it with 4. And once again, we see a player with Sun Tzu Versi trying to do this takedown with just 4 marches. That to me is really interesting. It's almost like Versi is buffing the exact number of marches here that they're bringing, which is common for Arc because you've got one in a garrison or a rally, right?
Yeah, it looks like Alt has figured this out pretty well. They're confident that they can take this Warden down with 4 marches. The monsters do get stronger as they respawn. So this is a little bit close. All 4 marches now at yellow health. It's only at 60%.
This is a problem.
Yeah, they have succeeded in... They're going to succeed in zoning out the red team. I know we see a red march running there now, but red did not win that fight down below. Yeah. So this was I think Alt's going to be okay here. But ultimately they're going to be okay because they won the fight down below, not because those 4 marches killed this monster fast enough. Because the
health remaining on this Anubis will stay, right? Even if they don't eliminate the Anubis, it'll still be at the percentage it's at, even if all their marches get sad faced. Is that right?
Yeah, it doesn't reset in terms of health. So yeah, you can gradually chunk it down. Okay. And then at the other altar, no one has actually even gone to it. Like, there's so much action at this top monster, and at the other monster, no one has even touched it yet. But you know, Wu-Tang, they're taking the buildings. They've taken the sky altar on the bottom side, and they're just trying to get back in this match with a structure game. And what's crazy, Chiz, is they went for these home run plays mid twice, but they're actually winning the structure game on the side, which sort of suggests we didn't really need to go for those home runs.
Yeah, could have gone for something a little more stable, and the point diff is only 2,000. Like, maybe they could have made it up. Now, by the way, big buffs deployed here in favor of Alt. We've got a march speed boost as well now, which is really, really major. I can actually get for you that exact number. It is a 20% march speed for 300 seconds. So Alt is going to be able to get to where they need to go to. You can see the animation of that on the screen. And they are, in fact, making their way to the other Anubis. If they time this correctly, which would be very clever on their part, then I believe what happens is they will stack the buff and refresh the duration.
They do stack the buff. I'll take your word for it that they reset the duration. I don't believe that the march speed buff stacks, because that would be crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's WU just ignoring this monster on their side. Like, this is the monster that they should be taking on the bottom side, and they're just ignoring it in order to flip this sky altar.
It does feel not ideal to ignore the Anubises. Yeah, so the stacking buffs work as follows. Point buffs are stackable, when applied repeatedly, gain a fixed 25% bonus to any team points earned and reset the buff's duration. So if they're able to grab this in the right time frame, they not only extend the duration, they get the bigger buff for the remainder, which seems like a very clever way to run that. Plus, they have an increased march speed boost right now. The march speed buffs cannot be stacked, but when applied repeatedly, their durations are reset. So they can enjoy that march speed buff for longer, which is still quite good.
I mean, it sets up beautifully for alt here, where if they get this second monster, which it looks like they will, they're just extending these buffs. They're extending that march speed buff to be, you know, an 8-minute buff or something like that, which is just, you know, that's a huge amount of march speed. That's getting you to so many more fights. And listen, they've definitely brought enough to kill this monster. You know, and it's honestly like a good guess by them. I mean, they knew the monster was up, but to know that red wasn't even headed here is a good prediction by blue. They're just going to stack both monsters again here.
Yeah. So they've got both of these buffs now. It could just be that I'm new to this season, but is there anywhere for us to see that they have that buff stack running right now? I don't think so.
I mean, you can see the blue outline.
Yes,
of
visually.
The march speed. Right.
Yeah.
You can see the blue outline.
I'd love to be able to confirm the timing that they got them both in time.
Yeah,
but
that would be.
But regardless, I think they did. It's pretty close either way. And you can see the points like really jumping up in favor of alt. They were holding the arc and they are not anymore.
Yep, they got both buffs. They had both buffs on the 25% boost, and then they returned that second arc and got 4,375 points for it. Wow, big arc right there.
Yeah, I suppose that would be, if we did the math there, the confirmation of the 25% buff, right?
Yeah, it'd be 25% of 350. That does sound about right, because 700 will be 20%, and then another like 180 or whatever. It does the maths out. It's about 875 extra points.
Maths out. Yeah.
Yep.
4,375 points is what they would get in
like
total
an extra
from that.
875 points just from that arc. So
yeah. So they did double stack. Savage.
Yep.
Hey,
I mean, at this point, they know that they know that WU doesn't have a lot of good mid skills, and so they're very comfortable making this a 3 or potentially 4 arc game. You know, in a lot of ways, Chiz, I just think that the red team has overly complicated this game. You know, they used Inferno twice without success, and then they gave the enemy team all 4 monster buffs. All the while, they're winning the sides, and their opponent has literally not taken a single building. I think this whole game. I don't think blue has flipped a single red building this entire freaking game. So to me, I think red could have just won the side game and won the monsters, and the mid plays out how it plays out. And it would at least be a closer match right now. But as played, red's in deep trouble at this point.
Okay. Yeah, big point diff between them, but not unrecoverable, especially because they are good with the buildings. And I think your point earlier about skills, I hear that they don't have skills, and I'm like, ooh, it's a diss. But no, it's a reference to what's on the skill bar, right? They don't have a lot of options here for what they might do. I mean, what might this remaining unrevealed skill be on their bar?
It's got to be no mark. I think it has to. Well, I mean, you'd think they would have used no mark at this point, like in between the second and third arc. I would think it's no mark, but I mean, maybe. I mean, based on their past skills, it's always been no mark. So I just think we have to assume it is that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's an interesting call out then. That like they had no mark on the bar, potentially they didn't use it. They already used their time warp, so they can't refresh cooldown on it. Awkward situation for Wu-Tang.
And yet somehow they're still in this match.
They're definitely in the match. It's just, you know, the use of that skill was just so high risk on those arcs, and it didn't pay off. And we see that reflected on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and as I say that alt hasn't taken any red buildings, here we have them taking the alt Sky Altar, holding it here with the Eleanor Hera in the garrison. Looks like there's enough red presence to flip this back, but this is a key flip here for alt. They're just trying to maintain this comfortable lead, and the best way to do that is to, not lose on the sides and just continue their dominance with the mid.
I do see chat making a request here for what the provisioners are up to. And so I gotta look around, and we do see there's very minimal provisioning. Not zero, but minimal. So I don't know the extent to which provisioning could be a difference maker here. Normally, a team that's more all in on provisioning, right, has a skill like stocking up on the bar. While this skill is active for every 3 provisions your team gathers from caravans and delivers up to 1,500 provisions, your team gains 0.15% of an energy bar. So usually, like, if you're heavy on provisions, that's something you would see on the bar, right? But I don't think either team is likely to reveal that at this point.
Yeah, earlier today we saw E68, they did about 5,000 points of gathering. They did not use stocking up. Basically, they just had a few gatherers out for the entire 60 minutes, and that generated them 5,000 points. I'm not seeing a ton of full-time gatherers in this match, especially from alt. Alt has not been gathering much at all this match. Wu has been gathering a bit more. Maybe they have 1,000 points of gathering still out there, something like that. So I don't think provisioning is going to be a huge swing in this match at the end. If anything, it might give Wu-Tang 1,000 or so points. But I think as is, Regis has to win this third mid.
And they went for no mark.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they're going mid necessarily, because they just put 6 in a no mark.
Well, listen, if their bar is full, right? If their bar is full, they might as well cast the no mark now, because that'll put them down to 4 points. By the time they get to mid, they'll have 5 points. And guess what? That's all they can cast. They can only cast Dust Up and Desert Storm. That's their situation. They cast it at 1337. So, and Dust Up might be on cooldown. Yeah, it is. It is on cooldown. It's like a 10-minute cooldown or 8-minute cooldown. So
now there is a 10-minute cooldown reduction available on the map, as it turns out, which is the 3rd spawn of Anubis. Does give a huge cooldown reduction. Let me pull that up real quick from my notes. The 3rd defeat of the Anubis also gives, on top of the speed, on top of the points, a cooldown for all battlefield skills reduced by 600 seconds and immediately restores 2 energy points. So we don't see Wu-Tang in the middle, really. I think they're going for buildings.
Yeah, they're going for buildings. They've taken both altars. They've taken 3 out of 4 buildings from the blue team at this point. So they're getting value from this no mark. The no mark was well cast, and they're getting the full benefit of it. Now the question is, do they think it's enough to just hold these buildings for several minutes? I mean, they're getting 1,000 more points a minute right now, Chiz, than alt is. So that's a big deal for as long as this no mark is active. Yeah, that's big. That can counteract losing the 3rd mid. But they have a lot of points to make up in this match, and so they can't just flip these buildings. They have to somehow hold these buildings for an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I swing on down...
Or ambush the Ark. They could also ambush the Ark.
They totally could ambush the Ark. Easier said than done, of course, but they could do it. So no mark lasts for 300 seconds. And your team captures buildings 60 seconds faster and gains team points from occupying buildings 30% faster. In addition, allied troops deal 20% more damage when attacking buildings and take 20% less damage while garrisoning. Pretty big deal.
Definitely a big deal there. And you know how, like, with commanders, they have the the detailed description of the skill and then the simplified description of the skill. The simplified description of no mark is best skill in the game.
Oh yeah.
If
Take buildings, win game. Is that it?
Yeah.
Cast skill, win game. Is that nice alternative? There's time warp.
It's no guaranteed win, but it's the best skill. And
okay, well,
when
best skill getting deployed by ult again here, by the way.
Yeah, so ult is casting no mark for the second time, and that's like one of the really big advantages they have in this match is that they have cast no mark twice. They're getting that points bonus twice, that capture time bonus twice, and that damage bonus twice, versus Wu-Tang, who's only been able to cast it once. That's a huge difference in this match. And
part of the reason they could do that, though, is because Wu-Tang did not go mid. So they basically waited long enough to see that mid was abandoned by Wu-Tang to say, okay, cool, let's use everything to go on offense then.
That is very true. One of the things that's interesting, though, about this new version of Arc with the Altars of Anubis is that third Anubis, when you kill it, you get an extra 2 skill points. And so a lot of times what's going to happen in these close matches is you're going to get near the end of the match and teams won't really have the points for no mark unless they kill a monster. And then those 2 extra points will give you enough points to cast no mark on time. Because remember, if you cast no mark with less than 5 minutes left in the match, you're not going to get the full value. So it's just these monsters are adding so many dynamics. They're adding dynamics to the early game, but then even in the closing minutes, sometimes those 2 extra skill points are going to make a really big difference.
Well, and you get both, you get 4, right?
Well, that's the one remaining question I have about the monsters is if you get all 4.
I think you would get 4. Like each one, I think if you took 2 of them, what does it say? Cooldown reduction are applied repeatedly. Immediately reduce the cooldown for all skills by 600 seconds, as well as restore a number of energy points.
Yeah, so you probably get 4 if you take both.
So I think you get 4, and it's in total, and a grand total of 20 minutes of skill reduction. Massive. So that means you could take okay, thank you, Captain Obvious, just cool, but like you can take a skill that's got like a 30-minute cooldown and take 20 minutes off. 10-minute cooldown at that point, like you could totally get a skill back that otherwise would have been unusable by the end of the match.
Yeah, something like stocking up, or something like the other insatiable desire, the other gathering skill that gives you bonuses to your gathering skills. Like all those skills, could be used more often. No mark, I think, is still restricted to just 2 uses per match because the cooldown is 60 minutes. But yeah, the skill points are an interesting wrinkle for sure. If you can get the monsters, and we're about to see how much these 2 teams prioritize this third monster. I mean, I would argue that this third buff is like the worst of the 3, honestly. This 2 skill points, I don't know. I just think you still would get no mark off a second time. The march speed and the points boost are just like so good. So we'll have to see if these 2 teams prioritize this third monster. I think in the case of Alt, because they have such a nice lead here, they're going to just want to secure those point boosts to make sure that they win the match.
Yeah.
And by the way, they did return the third arc.
Third arc is away. So they've scored it, which means there are no more arcs left in this match. So there is still kind of like an arc worth of points left in the form of the Anubises.
Yeah. 25% boost to your points per minute at 600 points. That's 150 points per minute. It might not be an arc worth of points, but
it's not nothing. And yes, you're right. Maybe it's not an arc worth of points. A little bit of contest going on between Wu and Ultra Instinct at the Arbiter of Anubis. We do see a couple marches peel off to go take down the Arbiter. And it does seem like that magic number is the 4 marches here. And it's the same player going and doing it. Sun Tzu with Versi, QSH with Zhuge Liang, BQ with Liu Che, and Achilles with GG. And this player has just been running this same move all match long to take down the Arbiter, and it's been working. So that is a strong combo worth considering, those 4 marches.
Yeah, this has been a really well titrated Arbiter by blue team, where they have like 5 or so marches zoning out the enemy, 5 or so marches killing it. It's been enough. You know, they didn't bring too many marches, and they definitely did not bring too few. And they've just dominated the monster in this match. They're probably going to win all 6 of them, actually.
Yeah, I mean, by grabbing, really the last hope for Wu is, or I should say was, getting both of the Anubises, because that would have been a pretty meaningful surge of points toward the end, especially with how good they are at getting so many buildings simultaneously. But I think a part of the reason they're getting so many buildings simultaneously is that Ult has been committing marches to the Anubis, both of them, whereas Wu is not. And that trade-off, I think, was pretty costly. Here is the Arbiter of Anubis again. Let's see if they're running the exact same 4 marches. Wouldn't surprise me if they were, because I'm sure that teams have spent a lot of time figuring out exactly what to use. In this case, it looks like it's the STP with William Wallace. I'm on board for William Wallace.
All right, all right.
Mm-hmm. Everything else pretty much the same now. And I've got my eye on this Arbiter because, like, this is the big deal, but I don't know, just 1 march coming hopefully to last hit, but it's going to be too late.
Yeah, they're not even going to get there in time. And, you know, to me, what Alt has done here, they've been a steady team and probably an underrated team in Osiris League for a while. I remember them having good performances last season, even in a loss. I like their very stable strategy in this match, which is defend your buildings, win mid, and win the monsters, right? It's just a slight extension of the old strategy, which was simply hold your buildings and win mid. If you can add monsters to that, you're just giving yourself more of an edge, right? You're not attacking the enemy buildings. You're not doing the thing that is hardest in Ark of Osiris to do, which is flip buildings. You're just adding a relatively stable element of, like, bringing a bunch of marches to monster, winning those fights against an NPC, and you're simply winning the match by more than you would have before the monster existed. Meanwhile, Wu's doing the hardest thing in the game, which is trying to win the game by flipping enemy buildings over and over.
I see chat is saying we lost mid. That's it. I mean, if we look at the score, 11,000 points of Arc. Yeah. I mean, that is an 11,375 point swing. If all those arcs went to the other side, that certainly would be a difference maker. If it was just 1 arc flipped from one side to the other, it would not be the difference maker. It would need to be 2 arcs flipped to Wu, and yes, they would be winning this match. And we can point to 2 arcs and go, okay, well, they used Inferno on 2 arcs, and that did not go well. And I'm sure they've practiced and it's gone well in a number of contexts. But in this case, the first one was dismantled by a full dive coming from Ultra Instinct, and the second one was avoided by running away. An incredibly difficult skill, I think, to use effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I do like to be a disagreeable person sometimes. And so, Pedro, I will give you credit for a well-played match, but you didn't just lose mid. You lost the Altar of Anubis as well. So just one slight correction to that one. I mean, 6-0, Alt going 6-0 on the Altars of Anubis in this match. To be fair, Chiz, it's not really reflected in the score too much, is it?
It would be interesting to have the attribution, but
yeah,
you know, we could like approximate it real quick and try to figure it out. We know that it was worth about 750 points per arc they scored with it active. So they did that for at least 2 arcs, I think. Maybe not.
No, I believe they did do it for 2 arcs because they returned that third arc pretty quickly. Yeah, they might not have had a 25% boost, but they had at least a 15% buff.
Okay, so like 1,500 points from arcs plus, if we just do the napkin math real quick, 500 points a minute times the 25% boost. So looking at 125 points a minute times
over, maybe like 15 minutes. It might be like 1,500 points, something like that. You think?
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of points out of it for sure. And the march speed helps too. That's for sure. You're right that I'm not sure that the cooldown on abilities mattered or that the ability points mattered, but the march speed is certainly handy. And there it is.
No doubt about it.
The match concludes incredibly well played by both teams. It's going to, however, be ULT that advances from 1875, 42,598 to 34,623. Congratulations on their victory, and a big shout out to Wu-Tang for a game very well played. This has been a fun one to cast. My first one casting where we've got the Anubis added into the match, which has been, I think, a really fun thing to spectate. BK, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, Chiz, it was great to be back for Osiris League Season 10 with you. Really nice win for Alt. I think there's more to come from Alt in this tournament. They played a really solid game here as usual. And I just want to wish everybody out there a good Sunday, and I hope everybody all around the world enjoys the World Cup finals coming up here in a few hours. Cheers, everybody.
There you go. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you enjoyed the cast today, consider throwing a like on the stream and subscribing. You can also check out my channel and BK's channel, linked in the description, for Rise of Kingdoms guides designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom. Take care, everybody.